In this episode, my guest and I talk about a documentary regarding missing people in state parks. We try to figure out what's going on and where these people are going. We spit out theories, both serious ones and ridiculous ones, which is actually more than what the state parks are doing about these cases. Enjoy. I'm just a girl in front of a mic asking people to watch weird shit with me. Welcome to... Wait, what are you watching? Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wait, What Are You Watching? A paranormal comedy podcast where I ask friends, strangers, and non-biological beings to watch a strange documentary with me and then come back on the show and talk about it. I'm your host, Elaine, and today I'm joined by my very good friend. We used to work at Hearst Castle together. Melissa, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad to have you. And a huge congrats is in order because, Melissa, what did you get in June?
Ooh, I just got a master's degree.
Oh,
I know.
So fancy.
Fancy. Pretty proud.
I'm pretty proud of you. I wanted to mention the fact that when we worked at Hearst Castle, your first or second tour, you had an emergency, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay, so that's why I put you'll want Melissa in a clutch, because this is one of the things like I remember the most, because I wasn't there. I came in like the day after and I heard about it. I was like, oh my, and the way that, anyways, go ahead, tell the story.
Okay, so when you say Melissa in a clutch, I'm like, in a clutch. So like in a pinch.
In a pinch.
Okay, so and just to rewind a little bit, you were kind of like my little angel at one point. So when I was in training, you were making sure I was doing all the right things on the tour. So you kind of had like a sense of agency with me. So coming in the next day, knowing I was in a pinch, you're like, how'd my girl do?
Right.
Well, what was this pinch, let's say?
Yes.
So I was on my second tour. I had, 3 couples, and we were upstairs. So we were, pretty much all alone in one room. And all of a sudden, one of the guests' husband goes down. He looked a little white and then went completely down on the ground. And she goes, oh, all arms in the air. And then the other couples start engaging and trying to help. And I'm like, everyone get back. What's happening? She's all, he's having a heart attack. Brand new. I think it was second, third tour. Like I was just trying to learn the art and the jargon and the tour routes. I did not know all of the emergency procedures, but I stayed calm. I carried on. What did I do? I said, stay right here. I jammed down to the security person that I had just saw going upstairs. And I said, find a defibrillator. Luckily, this security person knew CPR and told me to go find the defibrillator. He went upstairs, started CPR. I'm like, where's the defibrillator? I found it and immediately ran back up. Meanwhile, I'm derouting all the other tours that are coming up that way. Still brand new.
Oh my God.
Calm. Nobody's crying. I'm handling things. CPR is en route. Emergency people are still coming up. And this is all going on within 2 minutes. I'm looking at my other 4 guests that are like freaking out. I'm like, let's all move to the other room.
Right.
This is all going on within 8 minutes. He's going off to the hospital. And I turn to my guests and I go, how would you like to proceed? We all hug because it was traumatic.
Aww.
But they wanted me to continue the tour.
You need to earn your keep, woman.
I had to do another 50 minutes of art talk after this major thing. And then,
oh my God,
I finally get back to the trailer, which is like, whatever, that long walk.
Yeah.
And then I broke. I went to our beautiful supervisor and was like, so, yeah.
I mean, you handled that so well. I mean, for being, because I don't know if people know this, but I returned this past week. This is why there was no new episode. I returned, and just yesterday somebody looked like they were going to go down in one of the in the refectory, and we happened to have like fire and medical there because one of the security guards was not feeling good. It was hot. It was hot and humid. And so, all these things were happening. And it was just like, I was being supported by my great friend Janet, and Carson was there, but I was still panicky. Like, okay, well, what do I do? Do I stop the people? I'm just not like good at thinking on my feet. And the fact that you just like, boom, went on autopilot, I was impressed.
Well, thank you.
You earned your money that day.
I've been trying to infiltrate that in my interviews this last, because I've had so many interviews this summer after my master's degree that I keep trying to because it's a good one, but I can't seem to fit it in. And then I'll go into that big story. So,
I'm glad you're on the show. We've been meaning to do this, but now it's here.
Uh-huh.
So this is the segment of the show that I like to call the probe. It's the probe. Ow! Oh no, it's just questions. It has nothing to do with your butt. Stop bending over. You're making it weird. It's a segment of the show where I ask a question that relates to the paranormal or the documentary. And I decided to go with just paranormal and ask the question that I ask most people that I have on the show, or the first timers. Have you ever had anything creepy, unexplained happen to you, or someone you know?
Yes. Immediately when I was little, we lived in this older house, and I always had this recurring dream of someone, and we lived next to this really old church.
Uh-huh.
So there was an old church with this gully, in the back. So this just this weird little forest area, and then our house that was older. And when I would wake up in the middle of the night from a dream, I could see this man in a form, but it was like insects.
Oh.
He was all made up of little gnats. He wasn't real, and he had a hat on and a vest. I could see the form of him, and he came around a lot. And I'd go to my parents, be like, this weird, how do you explain a form that looked like gnats? That wasn't it wasn't a being, but I didn't know what it was. But it was definitely.
So where were you seeing it? In the bedroom?
In my bedroom. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so
recurring too. So not just every once in a while. And I still remember that, the way that form looks. I was
Melissa, have you heard of the Hat Man?
No.
That freaked me out when you said the hat, because people
like a Brixton,
what do you mean? What is that?
A Brixton? It's like a fisherman hat.
Okay, well, there's several stories all over the world. The fact that people know what the Hat Man means, of this figure showing up, and they relate it sometimes to sleep paralysis, but people always see a hat man, a man wearing a hat, which that's why you said he was wearing a hat. I went, whoa. And they don't know what it is and why it seems like it doesn't matter if you're from this country or other countries see this Hat Man. That is weird. And yours was interesting. It was made of gnats?
Well, or fuzzy,
yes.
Not quite so maybe spectacles or just energy.
Oh my God. Okay. So
now you're
really
making me want to Google.
No, I'm doing it right now. I'm doing it because that is another thing with the Hat Man. It looks like energy, or just like you said, fuzzy.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me look it up.
Oh my God.
Do you think it's
children, I feel like
go ahead.
They can infiltrate children a little bit more, so it's gone away since I've been older, but it was recurring.
So let me see if I can share my screen with you.
I just always thought he was
can you see this?
That was at church.
Can you see this?
Ooh, yeah. Ooh.
They say it's a dream, but it's so it shows up to everybody, and they think it's part of a sleep paralysis. But why? The whole thing was, why is this particular guy always the one showing up? There you go. That's something you could dig into.
Yeah,
The Hat
that's
Man.
creepy. Mine
Yeah.
was a little different,
Oh, was it?
but
Still, he was
the
wearing some
hat,
kind of hat.
he was wearing a hat,
He was wearing a hat.
but
So
he had this fuzzy, yeah.
like a fuzziness about him.
Mm-hmm.
So did it do anything? And how did you feel as a kid? Did it scare
I,
you?
yeah, it scared me. I just thought it was, I just thought I was odd. Like I was all, oh, here comes the oddness. Like other people don't see this. I'm like, you're a little quirky. Um, you're going to see some odd things in your life. You're special. So all those things were coming. I was like, I thought it was
Oh.
me. Um, or like I was doing something bad or like
Oh.
naughty and he was coming to,
Coming to get you.
yeah.
What were your parents saying when you told them about this?
I was pretty imaginative and vengeful older child.
So they were
So
just like, that's just Melissa.
yeah, let's go back to bed. Stop bothering us.
Oh my God. Well, you could do your research later, but it's pretty. I mean, yours had a more fashionable hat, it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah, yes. But yeah,
That's
it's like
great.
a fisherman's hat,
Yeah, yeah. I know what you
leather
I,
vest. But my dad wore a lot of those hats. So I'm wondering if there was some transferableness
oh yeah,
to
on how
that.
you saw it.
Hmm.
Interesting.
I
Oh my
know.
God. So let's get to the documentary that we watched. It's called
Okay.
Missing 411. I thought it was Missing 411. Missing 401 or 411, whatever. It's on Tubi. It came out in 2017. And basically, it's about people who disappear in the national parks. It fascinates me because there's so much of it going on, and yet we don't have any kind of protocols on what to do with people who are missing. And have you heard about this phenomena, Melissa?
Well, like most things that I don't know about, it makes me go down a deep, dark rabbit hole. So as soon
Yes.
as that, well, in the midst of the documentary, I'd like veer off and start Googling stuff. And
Same.
so I did look, same. I did look at all the different missing people, especially children. And of course, I was waiting for the Bigfooters to be like, oh, it's Bigfoot getting
Yep.
up, getting those babies. Um,
Bigfoot's like, I'm not even in it. Why are you?
Like, I'm just a fuzzy entity. I am made of gnats. I
Right.
am not real. I wear a hat, a fedora.
I
I,
live in a parallel universe. You guys don't even know.
I
Like,
don't even like babies.
right, right.
They're so salty.
Well, yeah, because it's got to come up because the weird thing about these disappearances is typically there's little to no traces. Some of them do, but a lot is like not even close because they say it could be animals, which totally could be.
That was my first, like, that's where I went to. I was like, just stop. Like, obviously, a big old mountain lion picked it up, took it off, or a big mama bear. But then
Right.
right in the middle, and this made me pause, and then I went and got my notebook and a pen because I was all, okay, well, shoot, now you got me. Was when they paused, it was like 45 minutes in, and they're like, mountain lions have only attacked 14 people in the last 100 years in the United States and Canada. And so I'm like, okay, well, so that doesn't make sense at all. The statistics don't match. If all these babies are going missing without any trace, I mean, in the 2 and 3 year old range, like it
Right.
can't be mountain lions.
And you would think the way animals are, there's going to be some kind of leftover something, you know? And a lot of these don't. So we'll get right into how
Okay.
they started this documentary. Was that it was a 911 call, probably as a mom, the most terrifying call you could probably ever make.
Right.
So this family in Idaho Falls, they go camping, and it was the mom, the dad, the 2-year-old, the grandpa, and one of the grandpa's friend. So they go camping in the what's it, Salmon Chalice National Forest, July 10th, 2015, I believe. His it's really remote. The town is remote. I've never even heard of the town really.
Right. It looked like the most sparse campground I've ever seen. I was like, oh, okay. I'm glad you got a creek down there. I kept saying the
Right.
creek. I'm
The
glad you got
creek.
the creek.
Well, yeah, because it looked like it was just a dead end to a dirt road. And then there
Right.
was a picnic table. So automatically that means it's a camping spot.
I know. I was like, oh God, I really need an umbrella, some tapestries. Oh,
Some tapestry, a Persian rug.
ceremonial circle, just bring my ficus tree.
Oh my
Anyways,
god. So they get there in the evening. They go to bed because they got there kind of late, and then they set up camp. Okay, so in the middle of the day, they go to the family, a Deorr Jr. and the wife, which I'll find the name at some point.
Jessica.
Jessica, thank you. This is why I have other people watch the documentary. So they go to like in town to get like some, snacks or whatever. And meanwhile, the grandpa is there with his friend. And when they come back, they have a fishing tail. They're like, oh, look at the fish we caught, yada, yada, yada. And the Deorr Sr. was like, what? Show me where. So they were going to walk over to the creek to find out where this fishing spot was. And as they're walking there, the little Deorr Jr. starts kind of walking with them. And was it the mom that said, like, do you want to go with us? Little man, they called him little man.
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, she said, come with us or go back to grandpa. And since grandpa had the candy, they think he wanted to go back to the grandpa.
Right.
Little deal.
Yes. Little Deorr Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And so and it's not far where they went.
No.
Yeah.
But that's where I think, like, there was no meeting of the eyes. Like, like as we're both moms, like that moment, and we don't know, but I didn't hear them say this. Like, hey, grandpa, like looking off to grandpa, Deorr's coming to you, and like pausing and waiting and watching. Like that's the only thing I didn't hear it. Like because of course I'm sure we both analyzed the parents a little bit, but I was like, that's the one thing. Like they're a little younger, they're out in the middle of nowhere, but that's the one thing I would have done.
Exactly, because she said she turned around and he started walking towards the grandpa, and she kind of watched him. But you're right, there was no communication that like he's coming over to you. Right.
And it also, because they did go into more of the spot later on in the documentary, and it did look like there was probably not complete visual to where you could see the little boy going back.
Right. So there was almost kind of like a turn, it seemed like.
Yes.
Right? Like a curve.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So you can see it. So I was already, I mean, I know that you as a mom felt this, like I would have been like walking him back.
Right.
He's too
or visual. Like I would have screamed or something.
And I'm not, of course, I'm not blaming the parents because literally we all make these quick judgments of like, there's nobody here. Right. He's on the path. Grandpa's right there.
Right.
Thinking hopefully grandpa will see. So that happens.
Mm-hmm.
They go there and they're like looking, there's a lot of minnows here. So they decide, let's go get Deorr Jr. because he'll like this. Because there's a lot of minnows.
Like that's like 7 minutes, not a lot of time. So again, no judgy on this part. But.
Of course not. Like, yeah, it's quick. It's like they go there, they go, oh, look at this. Oh my gosh, he will like this. And they start to walk back. And then when they get there, it's they just see the grandpa sitting and no Deorr. And so they're like, where's Deorr? And he was just like, well, he was right there. Like he was, playing like right there, but they could not find him. Okay. They were kind of like merging the story that they were telling, and then like there was all different stories. So they were all taking like different. It was, first it was like the police story, and then it was the not stranger, but it was the grandpa's friend that was with them, who was not the family. And at one point, the police think they said Grandpa said he didn't go inside the RV, but the police thinks that the grandpa went inside the RV, and they think maybe that's when it happened. Here's my thing though: Grandpa was not fully mobile. I don't think.
Yeah, Grandpa wasn't signed up to be the babysitter. Like, I feel like Grandpa was not. Grandpa did not come to that spot to watch little Deorr.
Exactly. And
He wanted to eat his candy, hang out with Lucas, and do some fishing.
right. I don't think he was prepared, nor did he, like you said, want to have a 2 year old because it didn't seem like he wanted to get up unless he actually really had to. And, having a 2 year old, they're all over the place.
Right.
So I think that was a huge part of it. But again, a 2 year old in a span of the most, I'm thinking 10 minutes, they were gone. Right.
Right. Like,
And
I'm baffled by them all. Like, and then the other stories that would go into then confuse me even more on this one because
yes.
so I don't want to overstep. So.
Oh no, we're not over. If you want, let's go all over the place. The listeners don't need a play by play. They can go watch it. By the way, if you do want to watch this, the link is in the episode description. You guys, you know this, but so this is kind of like the appetizer to the rest of the documentary, showing all these different cases where they just disappear. Because with Deorr, again, 10 minutes gone, there is no trace. A 2 year old who would have a pretty tough time maneuvering or just walking in general fast anywhere.
Yes, but then you go into the story of, was it Ritter, Oregon? That one boy that traveled, was it 14 miles? No, it was Keith Perkins.
Yeah.
Who traveled like 19 miles away from his house as a 2-year-old boy, or was it 8 miles?
It was far.
It was far. It was 2 hours away, and he was 2 years
terrain, old. Right.
And he went through barbed wire, and all this stuff, and as a 2-year-old. And so then I'm like, what's this phenomenon? Because these are all little boys that are like taken off. I'm like, maybe it's like this running thing, like some people on the spectrum, like
they run,
take off, like, yeah. So right. I'm like, what are these kids doing? Like, just because I feel like my little girls would stay near me, like 7 minutes, they're not going that far, but within like 15 minutes, these kids are taking off in another direction. Yeah.
I mean, that one that you were talking about too, like did he have ADHD or?
No, this one's the older guy. You're talking about Samuel from Crater Lake. He had autism and he was 8. And he did run off, and that was 8 miles.
Right. And he took off.
Guy was Keith Perkins, and he took off like 2 hours away, and that was 19 miles.
Right.
And they said he was going through all kinds of crazy countryside, like
it's crazy.
Shale mountain.
Right. It's just really rough terrain. Mm-hmm. And then there was another case of Bobby Bishop. He was deaf, and he was like kind of in like a camping, like camp counselors, like a camp.
Yeah, that guy.
Right. And he was fishing until dinner time. The counselor went over there to tell him, hey, so he's face to face with Bobby, said, hey, it's time to go. It's time to go eat dinner. So the counselor turns to walk away, and Bobby is following him with all his fishing gear. And then he turns again, and Bobby's gone. No trace. And it's just like, how did that happen where the counselor was there with him, turns around for 1 second to see if he's following, and immediately he's gone? It's crazy. 400 people were searching, could not figure out how he disappeared. And there was like leaflets and all this stuff. And it says after a 9-day period, they stopped searching. And the following year, they came back. So 400 people, 9 days, spread out, okay? The following year, they came back, not to search for him, but just the camp is back again, right? And you returned, and one day they went to two of the counselors, I believe, went to Mount Meeker, which is 2,000 feet up from the camping retreat. And then
Wow.
they saw a hearing aid and clothing and Bobby's remains. And they found him on a ravine, and they had searched this area 3 times before, and they said uphill is long, treacherous hiking. So how did he get up there?
And again, my mind goes straight to mountain lions before that one little pause in that
Right.
factoid. Because how I'm just like the strength and the agility to pick up somebody and then go up a hill.
Right.
I can only think of a big mama cat or a bear.
Right.
But
And
then
how
their
go
clothes
ahead.
aren't, like taken apart or, I
Right.
mean, it
Didn't
is bizarre.
didn't they see there was one case where this broke my heart. So that one where the dad let the son
Oh,
go with the
that one. I really liked that dad. And that little boy was so cute. His little smile with his big brown eyes. Yeah,
oh
I didn't
my
like
god.
that one at all.
That
I was so
broke my
mad at that
heart.
Christian group, and not to be mad, not to be
I mean,
religiously affiliated, but why would you take 15 miles? I mean, for crying out loud, just go for a freaking hike. It looked
for
like a beautiful area.
right.
15 miles away is like a whole
And
town away.
and the dad didn't know they went there. Remember, they were going to go to like a restaurant or a mall or something. They were going to go to a mall, and then they were like, "Let's go for a 15-mile hike with a little kid," and then just kind of letting him run around.
Yeah, he's just a baby.
Oh
3 is
my
just a baby and a boy too. They like not boys. Just you got to watch them.
Clearly, they just take off.
Clearly, they'll just run 19 miles east, and you just
Yeah. And again, same thing. Couldn't find him. And then it was like maybe a year or two later, they found, oh my God,
that
it was
that was bizarre,
it was just his skull
right?
and a very clean shoe. Was that the same?
Yes, and I agree with him. If something was dragging him all the way up, his shoes would be scuffed.
And the
There's
shoe looked
that one's
clean.
that one was very bizarre.
Right. And
All of
so,
them
go ahead.
are just because the search and rescue, the one you were talking about, and then the
Hmm.
one for Jared, this little boy, said they went over those areas over and over, and then to come back and have that skull cap strategically placed on a log with
Right.
one tooth.
So freaking weird.
And this is when I paused again and went down the rabbit hole and discovered this word. And here's a visual I'd like for you and your audience to all imagine now. Here we go. Feral humans living in the woods.
Oh, right. Yes.
And
Feral humans. Or
and
are
I
they?
imagine like them like running, scaling up like this whole
You
movie,
guys,
like
if you could see the visual of Melissa imitating a feral human.
scaling up a hill with the child in my mouth. Um, oh god.
I think I'm laughing because I can picture it oddly
And I had to pause again
with your
because I wanted.
glasses on.
Oh gosh,
No, this
let's
is
just hope for a job because otherwise I'm going to be one of those feral humans living out in Perfume Canyon.
we're 2 seconds away from being feral.
Yeah, one paycheck away, I tell you,
For
people.
real, for real.
Oh,
One paycheck away.
I'm just kidding. So, yes, I can't think of another thing. Like, I really can't because then his pants were inside out. His jacket was pristine. All of these little boys' clothes were pretty well together. Like that Keith Perkins who traveled 19 miles.
Yeah.
You remember him like showing his little bib overalls and his
Oh, yeah.
cute little. Yeah,
Right.
he was
Because he
adorable.
survived. He survived.
He survived. So like he was showing that it's possible for these little kids to jet and survive and
Yeah.
not necessarily be taken by a feral human or a mountain lion.
It's unfortunate though, but he didn't remember how
Yeah,
he
and that's
got
weird
there.
too. So then it could be alien abductions, which we haven't even brought up.
I mean, At
what
this
is
point,
happening to these
who
children?
knows? Or
Yeah.
what if he was replaced? He was like, it's not really the real one.
Oh,
Changeling.
he was an interesting man. He was one of my favorites.
What?
He was one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, it was I was actually like surprised that he's an old guy now, obviously, because this happened in the
Mm-hmm.
50s. And oh, just for the listeners, what had happened was he was just playing with his brothers, like just in the
Mm-hmm.
backyard as usual. And I think he went towards the back of the barn,
Mm-hmm.
and that was it. That's all it took. And he
All
was
it took.
gone for like how long was he gone for? Not a long time,
I think
right?
just 24 hours.
24 hours. And they found
But
him
he like
face
traveled.
down in the snow.
Mm-hmm. But traveled like 2 hours east through like crazy terrain. Like
Yeah.
got lost and then just kept going. And I just don't even know.
Yeah, like what as a kid? And then face down and like, yeah, like what was he doing?
I don't
That he
know.
went 2 hours up. And remember the guys that went up there, they were like, or the guy that went up there, he said it was pretty hard terrain for him.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like a big, yeah. So it's really weird. So they are, of course, they have all kinds of different theories about this. I don't know if they brought this. I don't think they brought this up. But there's the along with the feral humans, there's also this if you look at the United States, there's a cave network, kind of where all the caves are. And
Mm-hmm.
if you superimpose that to people missing, it matches the cave network that's in the United States. So if like you put all the statistics of where people are missing by
Is
dots,
that on Garth Brooks' tour too?
what?
You haven't heard
does,
about that?
does he do the cave network tour?
No, but there's a phenomenon that people go missing around his tour dates.
we
Dun
have
dun
to
dun.
we have to look in uh
Next episode,
to
so
we have to
guys.
look into what's his name? What's his name? Who's the
Garth
singer?
Brooks.
Garth Brooks. What the heck?
Yeah.
Because yeah, so they were saying that so they don't know what's going on because they said, okay, here, I'll show you. I'll share my screen with you.
Okay. Sorry.
No,
Tangent.
no, that's what this whole show is about is tangents. Okay, here we
Garth
go.
Brooks, caves.
Okay.
They're all humans.
All right, do you see this? Okay. So,
I don't see it.
oh, you don't?
Oh, I see it.
Okay. So down here
Whoa.
is where the cave, the limestone caves, lava caves are. It's a bottom picture.
Mm-hmm.
The upper picture is where people go missing. See how much it matches the cave networks?
Interesting.
It's pretty weird. So who knows if that's the case and what's under those caves? Feral humans, the government, who knows? Can you see it?
Uh-huh.
I'm making it bigger. So yeah. Ooh, that's too big. So that's one theory. The whole cave thing is the feral humans scare me more than Bigfoot and or alien abductions.
I know.
Right?
Right. Especially because it sounds, yes. Because they're not leaving a lot of bones and stuff around. Like, where's the stuff going?
Yeah. So I think with the dad where his son went missing, he definitely believes something kind of shady is going on. Oh, by the way, I have it on my notes. When they found his skull cap and the one tooth, the tooth was super white.
No.
Like, that's so weird. And then the police said the canines went up that hill and searched that area. If they're going to find if somebody's going to find something, it's going to be a canine unit that finds a skull or, a tooth. So yeah, he feels like something strange is going on. And so it says here, since 1915, oh yeah, you already talked about it, about the mountain lion attack. There's only 14 reported. But what if there's others that aren't reported?
And we are just going through a mountain lion thing around where I live. And so I'm kind of like, I'd like to critically think that factoid because there was just a dog that was ripped out of their owner's arms by a mountain lion, like just this year, right
What?
down the street from my house. Yes, not from her
Oh,
arms. It was on a leash, and she
yeah,
was
but
just down. And the mountain lion like dragged her because it grabbed the dog and then took
oh,
the dog, and the dog didn't come back. And the dog was like a 13-pounder, kind of like the size of mine.
oh my God.
And she lost the dog. She tried to like hold on to the leash, but the mountain lion was too strong. And again, that's why I picture, because it was in its mouth and it just took up the canyon.
Up the hill.
So that's why I was like that. Jared, so sad, of course, but
Again, but the clothes.
and then the clothes and then the factoid, because I
Yeah.
don't like
Yeah, I don't think that factoid could be There's no way there's only been
100 years,
14
Canada, and
since 1915, the way people are.
yeah, and I watch a lot of mauling shows. I really am into them. So
Mauling show. Tell me your favorite mauling show.
well, there was this one time that this really nice man was getting his berries. It was his very, very favorite berry pick and patch.
Yeah.
He was this cute old man with suspenders, and
Yeah.
he was just enjoying his blueberries on a ladder. And all of a sudden, there.
Oh man. The bear's like, I get blueberries and a main course. Fantastic.
He's all winning.
A score.
Score. It was the sweetest old man too. I loved him.
Oh, did he get mauled?
He did, indeed he did.
And he didn't
Not
survive.
mauled, but he was okay. He
Oh.
lived to tell the story.
Wow.
He still goes back to that blueberry. That's his favorite pick and patch.
Does it,
Adorable.
does he know about grocery stores? Like, no bears there, as far as I know. Maybe cranky people, but
clearly likes those blueberries.
there's like, Grandpa, they have a sale at grocery outlet. Fucking stop going into the woods. What is wrong with you?
Stop it already.
Stop it.
Oh.
Speaking of grandpas, so they're following this family, right? Because they're trying to figure out what happened to their little boy. The grandpa was
like very dismissive. Like at one point, a little creepy. They're like, where? I know that's funny. So where is little man? Oh, so Grandpa's isn't looking very good. Like I had your back for a minute. Like he lost me at that point, and that was the end of the show.
Yes, so first he declines to be on camera. Whatever, you could be, but it's all these little factoids. He declines to be on camera.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got memory issues because he's old and he's got health issues, and they say he's not in the right frame of mind. So maybe interviewing him wasn't a good idea, because maybe he's laughing about something else that he thought about from like 50 years ago.
We all know cantankerous old men like that. Or I'm just thinking he had been asked that question so many times that he was irritated at that point. So
yeah,
that was what I was. That's and maybe that's me giving him
a little leeway,
like privileged man a dime.
They need all the help we can give them.
I'm always there for you. I'm gonna just give you an excuse there, buddy.
He seemed really cold about it. He was like, 2-year-olds do, and he was just right there. I don't know what happened.
Right.
And I get it. That's his story, and he's sticking to it. But there was no God, I miss my grandson. I really
or I feel so guilty.
Right. I would be in shambles.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If I lost my grandkid.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, those Christian people felt a little worse than Grandpa did when they lost that guy's. Oh,
I was hoping we got a shakedown too. By the way, they didn't talk too much about that, but
yeah, I was wondering that too. That's a whole lot of people to just be overlooking.
And they're like, doing my own thing, not really watching the 3-year-old. Like,
also took him somewhere that you didn't tell the dad. I mean, this happened during cell phone era, right? Like, I don't know why they weren't just like, oh, hey, by the way, I think we're going to go here. Like, that's what I would do if I have somebody's child. If I said, oh, I'm going to go to the park, and then I decide, oh, no, I'm going to go, run errands first, or, go to the grocery store or the mall or whatever. I'd be like, oh, by the way, he's, you know, we're going to go here first or whatever. Give the parent a chance to kind of say, oh, never mind or whatever. But
or yeah,
nothing.
my kid doesn't do well like on a hike. Like I wouldn't take a
Exactly.
3-year-old on a big old hike.
Yeah.
That's a
And
lot.
so, and then they were kind of looking over the fact that some of these kids have like an impairment or
Mhm.
disability.
Yeah.
So, like the one that disappeared after fishing was deaf. And then we were talking about Samuel Bolke. He ran off Crater Lake National Park at 8 years old. He had autism and he ran off because and the dad was yelling at him and he ran the other direction and he just vanished. So they were trying to figure out like what was that about. So they decided, hey, since it's happening in the national parks, let's ask the national parks. What do you think is going on? And the National Park Service turned down interviews.
Would they say it would cost like $1.5 million to come up with the data that they needed? And I was like,
What?
oh, shit. Uh,
Exactly.
like all you have to do is run some numbers or let whoever this Ted Lasso, who was this
Ted
little,
Lasso.
I wrote him down, Les Stroud. He's
Yes.
very interested in this phenomenon. And I meant to Google him and see what else he's come up with.
Yeah.
Because he seems to have some of the research. So it seems like he could come up with some numbers.
Right. Or just start keeping track. Maybe we can't keep track of the past.
Right.
I mean, we have some though. Can we just put that
there
in?
is a feral human situation? Maybe all of
right.
Yeah, right.
Or any theory, like I get it. They don't want to, they don't want to probably promote any theories that seem outlandish, but at least within the National Park Service, let's keep maybe this could be it. But if we start like keeping records now, we already have records from these people. I mean, obviously we do because we are talking about it and we know about it. At least start to keep records. So this woman named Heidi started a petition to create a centralized national database in which all missing persons are accounted for in the national parks, forest, and BLM lands. And then, like you said, the national park said it would take like $1 million to like open an Excel sheet. That's free. On a Google Drive that all of national parks can see. So there's a little peek at how national parks work.
Are archaic with paperwork and how paper trails and I bet that would break their brains. We're like, can you just hey, if you have a missing child on at your park, could you just put it on this Excel sheet? I'm like, oh my God. We're gonna have to send it through mail.
Yeah, right. Through mail.
Something. I don't know.
We got to ask Sacramento if we use this newfangled thing called the internet.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm still waiting on my law. Anyways, let's not talk about it. Okay. So there is no system in place for the national parks to share information of like, hey, we're missing. These are the details of that. And no other park can go, oh, the same thing happened over here.
Right. Because and this is another thing I didn't Google, was like, is there an animal that doesn't like to eat clothes? That really like is methodical about taking off pants.
What diva animal? Can you imagine? Is that L? It's like peeling like a banana. He's like, no, this is gross. This is gross.
Oh no, we're not. I just want to get to the little loin.
Right. It's the wrapper, if you think about it.
Because that's all of the clothes. Jared,
right?
The clothes, his jacket was pretty impeccable.
Yeah.
I'm still in these missing shows that don't have the resolution or the answers or the found person. Leave me a little rattled inside,
I know. And I try not to get these because I'm the same. Like I have literally watched a show on unsolved mysteries and get pissed
that
at the end.
Stop watching that one because I'm I gotta have some resolution, yo. Like, where's
my bow that ties this all together? Because it's pissing me off. And then
Dateline. Where's the jail?
Where's the jail? Where's this? No, we can't. I don't like when like they said his disappearance has no official conclusion. That's no, I can't accept that. There's got to be something. Can we put trail cameras?
Right. Someone, I want some
Something.
retribution. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yes, retribution.
Yeah.
And or some kind of record keeping national park, because that makes me suspicious as well.
Right. Are you trying to keep it down so you don't have the money of the people coming because they're afraid to come because there's feral humans in your
Um,
woods?
So who cares if we lose one or two or a lot? Because
Yeah.
there's a lot. There's so much that there's literally a podcast called the national parks missing people or something like that. A podcast that has a new case every week.
Right.
It's crazy. So that's the whole issue there. So again, all these people are missing and they're going back to the story of Deorr. And I really feel bad of how they treated the parents.
I wanted to circle back to the parents because I went back and forth like throughout the episode, throughout the hour and a half. At first, I was like, I really liked him. I ended up circling back and still really liking him, but they did like throw out some like that one guy, that one cantankerous old man, like who was he?
The
Who
friend?
I don't know. He kept commenting on him, and then he
Oh,
wrote a letter and like quit them, and was
yeah.
like suspicious of them. Who was that
It,
guy?
it was like the private investigator that they had hired, I believe, or
Oh,
one of the people that they hired, the private investigator, came to the conclusion that they were not telling the truth.
right. I didn't like him.
Yeah.
He had a
And
lot. Like he's the one that brought up like that stuff about Jessica having her tubes tied. That really annoyed me. He was like really judgy on that. Like she didn't even want kids. She got her tubes tied. Like how dare you? You old white man.
I
Talk
swear
about her her body parts.
what if she knew she couldn't afford to have any more kids?
Right.
What if she knew that? Oh, and
Right.
they made fun of him for that too.
Uh-huh.
This town started calling them like, well, they're white trash, and it's like classism and misogyny, like everything that they could throw at this poor family, that they
And
were
then
white
like
trash.
so why don't you want to be on the media? I would have done the same thing. Like I've totally gone into my turtle shell. Like F you every time I come out, you say something rude about me or talk about my tubes.
Right. They started like nitpicking their reaction. Well, the mom doesn't seem sad enough. Like, I mean, people do that. It's natural, but also it made it worse because they kind of lived in that small town where everybody
Mm-hmm.
talks shit about everybody. And if you're not like the upper, like, class, or like you're in some kind of trailer park, it's just immediate freaking daggers. Oh, of course they laugh. Why would you leave? And how come they couldn't find him? So the documentary guy, the guy that was doing this documentary, he was setting up. Did you see? Remember this part? He was setting up the camera to kind of show the police department, and some guy passed by and was like, "What are you doing? Like, what?" And then he's all, "I'm doing like a documentary. I'm doing a documentary on Deorr." He's like, "The parents killed him." Duh.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just a guy passed the parents. He's like, "You. What else could have happened? They can't find him at all. The parents killed him." And I'm like, how do people jump to that conclusion without like super hard evidence?
And so like he just had no, no, just sure of himself. Like
Mm-hmm.
I actually had to rewind that. I'm all, who was that? Like, was he a knowledgeable person? Like, should I take his word with value? But the way he said it,
Mm-hmm.
it's so
No, it was just like that typical kind of like stereotypical small town
mm-hmm.
gossip. And then he was just like, yeah, they killed him. Duh. And he was being a dick about it. I
Mm-hmm.
was just like, oh yeah. And then yeah, so they were judged a lot. I don't think they did. Why? I just don't think they would have done that.
I
If
liked them both by the end. I liked that
Yeah.
movie a lot.
I mean, I can't even imagine what they're going through losing their son. And then they go on camera, they get nitpicked for everything. And then they get nitpicked for not going on camera because what's wrong with you? How come you're not helping the investigation? And they were. So at some point, the FBI got involved, but then after a month, or they swabbed their truck And so the parents were like, yeah, swab our truck. Who cares? And they found nothing. And so the FBI was like, well, we got nothing. It doesn't seem like, it's
Any crime happened.
any crime happened. So the FBI is saying no crime happened. And yet the small town people are like, they still think that
Was
somehow these parents killed their kid.
was there any, I can't remind me, was there any clothing or body parts found for Deorr?
None. Nothing
Nothing,
found.
not a thing.
Not a thing found for Deorr.
That's bizarre.
That is bizarre. Like, unless like the mountain lion's swallowing him whole. Like,
Or
do you know
yeah.
what I mean?
And
Ugh.
apparently mountain lions don't even, I mean, 14, if that factoid, I mean, that's going to get me every time.
I know 14 because you would think it was more.
Because it's not like the mountain lions around here have been eating people. They've been
Uh,
eating dogs.
yeah, eating dogs. So, right. And who was the one?
Bears, I think, would eat people.
Definitely. But I also think there would be some kind of mess in their wake,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And not leaving just a skull cap like a little bowl on a log.
If the skull cap was already broken apart, you would think it would be much more so in pieces. I would believe it when it was in pieces, but this was like a cat, like a skull cap.
Jared's might be foul play.
Yeah.
As far as Deorr,
And then there was that one, they didn't say specifically, but so at this point in the documentary, they're talking about all these cases. There's a search in South Dakota where a little toddler wandered away. There was no clues for 3 days. He just kind of went through the willows. And then when they were searching for him, all of a sudden, a little toddler walked out of the fog with no clothes on. He appeared out of nowhere. But apparently she had been with an animal, curled up with a coyote to be warm.
that was kind of neat.
That's kind of heartwarming.
Uh-huh.
So
I
again,
can jive with that one.
but then she had no clothes on.
Right.
Is there
Again,
like a
maybe so I think animals don't like clothes. I think they take the clothes off very gently. They,
with their little clippity claws?
they disrobe the children.
Or is there some
And
kind of something sinister going on? Is there
feral
uh,
humans. Maybe that's where, and I don't want to, I mean, I
I
will.
mean,
Is that where all the feral
I
pedophiles?
was gonna say like human trafficking. United States is the largest
But
in human
then you can
trafficking.
fly. I mean, this world is weird. You can fly over and see if anyone alive is in a forest, can't you?
But the caves,
Oh, oh, dun dun dun.
quick snatch down the cave. I mean, I don't know. Again, we're not going to solve this if people haven't solved.
I really need something from Deorr to come about though, because that's
Yeah,
like he was just plucked.
out of nowhere. And I think there was a few, like I think the one kid with autism, he just vanished. I don't think they found anything on him either.
Hmm.
So it's really weird. Do you know anything about David Paulides? So he wrote the book. So this is based on the book called Missing 411. So there's so many missing people. He's had several books. And he's the one that's kind of hinted around now, not outwardly saying that, these particular mysterious disappearances are unusual and there's like a paranormal air to it. Like you said, the alien
Mm-hmm.
abductions. I don't think Bigfoot's doing jack shit. I think we're just putting the blame on him because he's an easy target.
Yes,
He
I
is
agree.
very large.
Uh-huh.
I think he's just like I think he's the grandpa. He's a grumpy old man.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, don't bring me into it.
Right.
I just smell and I don't like people in my space. But
And
there's also the cave systems, which I've done stories on the cave systems that people believe that there are military bases underneath these cave systems. That's another thing. But who can say?
hmm. I'm gonna have to Google the cave systems and check out that episode that you talked about.
Yeah. I don't think all of these cases are one thing. I think there's several things. I definitely think foul play for Jared with the skull cap and the clean clothes. I think a lot of this sounds like foul play. as far as like with the clothing and also with the clothing returning seems like haha, I got away with it, you know, kind of trophy
I
like.
just had a thought with Jared again, like the Christian group, like one of those guys could have done something to hit him, and came back later for him,
Right.
or
Right.
taken him away and then did something with him and then brought that back.
Right.
It's like, I just don't get it.
I know. I know. And I don't think we will, Melissa.
Wait.
But thank you for joining me on this process of not resolving things. It sounds like you hate it as much as I do.
I do, but that's okay. I'll keep it. I'll keep Deorr in my thoughts, and perhaps we'll see a breaking news.
Yeah. Maybe we were meant to be
Maybe we
detectives.
can manifest something for Deorr.
Or Deorr.
Start a group fund me. I don't know.
Like, how old would he be?
Friends with Jessica? Like, I don't know.
Right? Is she on Facebook? I will friend her.
Yeah. See, I'll be all at it, girl.
Right? I believe you.
I believe in you.
You can have your tube side if you want. Shit.
Right.
Like, did they even go into the guy? Did he have a vasectomy? Do they even say that about?
No.
But with her, she clearly doesn't want to have kids because she had her tube side. Like, bitch.
He had two others, it sounded like.
Right. He had two other kids. Anyways. I don't know. Maybe we were meant to be detectives, like I said, because it's disturbing to me when things are like this happen.
Detectives.
Completely.
We have to have fun a lot.
Oh my God. Yes. Melissa, you have to come on the show again. Damn it.
I had fun.
Will you do it again?
I will.
Do you like do you like this? You like diving into craziness with me?
I do. I like it.
I'm interviewing you to be a resident co-host. You know that, right? Because I have resident co-hosts, and I think I love this. And plus, it's an excuse to get together with you. I love you.
I love you too. So. This felt good.
Anywho's, what did you think of the documentary? Did you like it?
I liked it. Yeah.
Would you recommend?
Yeah.
Okay, not to people who want things resolved.
Well, even so, it just gives you something to think about.
Yeah, it gives you something to gnaw on, to be like, okay, and who knows, maybe somebody will figure out some kind of common thread with all of these. I mean, there is the common thread that we don't know as far as just like the clothes come back and or they disappear or whatever, but maybe something else. So yeah, I liked it. And also I'm actually planning to buy one of those books. I did not realize that he had so many. And it's specific, like national parks or this or that or this particular state. So you guys watch your back. You could get snapped because it wasn't just kids; it was also adults.
That's the thing too. I mean, that is on my bucket list to see more national parks, but I'm also going to have to watch my back.
You're going to have to have some kind of like knife or something,
right?
Protection, so you can fight back against the caves, Melissa.
The caves and the sweet animals that take off your clothes, that disrobe you.
Don't let them fool you.
Don't let them.
Listen, get comfortable. Take off your jacket. Stay a while. That's the red flag, folks. That's when you get out of the woods.
Fox asks you to take off your shoes and your pants and your jacket
and hands you a cocktail. Get out.
Run for your life. That's what we're going to leave you with today, and I'd love to come back.
I love that. So thank you, Melissa, for coming. Listeners, thank you for listening, and I will see you next Friday. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Wait, What Are You Watching? This podcast was produced, edited, researched, and hosted by me, Elaine Cheney. I would really appreciate it if you could help me continue to create and grow by subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. See you next week.